Hey everyone, welcome to another video in my series for World Watercolor Month, which is me attempting to follow through a monthly challenge. And the way that I have done this is I'm trying to make it as easiest as possible. And I'm just painting every day with a different color in my palette. Till now, it's all been loose florals, and I'm going to bet on the fact that it's going to stay like that because that is what I enjoy painting the most. So I have gone through the yellows in my palette, and then I used a color called Brilliant Yellow, I want to say. I can't pronounce that word. I'm sorry. Oh, there's a small hand. That's Lily. And before I move on to the pinks, I will leave the neutrals for last, I think. But before I move on to the pinks, I have three colors in my palette that I wasn't sure which order to use. I have quinacridone, coral, or red, it depends on the brand. I have bright red, which is what I decided to use today. And then I have shell pink, which is kind of pink. So it's not kind of, it's pink. So I'm gonna push it with my other pinks. So this color is by Shinhan Pass, and it's just a beautiful color. It's I think it's fluorescent. It's not light fast, but it's lovely just the same. And I have no problem with using colors that are not light fast. I love this color, and what I'm trying to focus on in this challenge is to kind of find the most interesting, fun color combinations. I am all about color. I really feel like you can get away with so many things when it comes to like being happy with your result if you stick to colors that you're completely in love with. And this is an example of a color that I absolutely adore. It also looks beautiful when you add a little bit white to it, when you mix it with all of the yellows that I have in my palette or with light neutrals. You get these beautiful pastel colors that still have some life and, you know, that little bit of a punch to them because the bright red is so vibrant. And I decided it would be fun to pair it with very, very bright teal. I think it's such a pretty combination. So I'm going to use a pretty limited color palette here and just explore the options. So the great thing about when you're using a limited palette, if you pick colors that are opposite each other or complementary on the color wheel, you will have a lot of playroom because, you know, if you choose something like, I don't know, like a fuchsia color, a magenta color, and ultramarine blue, all you have in between are different shades of violet and purple, which can be very, very beautiful, but it's not as interesting and you won't get any neutral colors. But if you pick something like this, turquoise teal and then a warm red, when you mix those, and then if you toss in maybe a dark color and white, you get a huge variety of colors. Cobalt teal is granulating, so you also get that granulation. And it's just a lot of fun to explore the different mixes. I'm also adding to the party this charcoal pencil, which has a beautiful shade of blue. So a great complementary color to that bright red. And I'm just having fun with it. So you can see when you add just a little bit of the teal to the bright red, you get these really muted purple colors that have the granulation from the teal. Those are the colors that really speak to me these days. These mixtures that are just so unique. I would say you could never get these kind of effects straight out of a tube. I mean, there are a few colors that, are really interesting to start with. I think Daniel Smith really does a great job with creating those, you know, colors like moon glow, even Rose of Ultramarine, definitely their greens like undersea green and cascade green. They have that separation, that granulation. It makes them so interesting, even if you're just using one color, and then when you mix them, well, then you have a whole new range of beauty. But for a lot of, you know, colors out there, it's just they're not as complex and interesting as these mixtures. So I really encourage you to play with complementary colors and try a limited color scheme. So for example, you know, here we have red and teal, but another example would be yellow and purple, and then add white to the mix if you don't feel any objections to using white watercolor. I used to think it was a big no-no. I have changed my mind since. I love using it. I think it really works for me, and you have to know how to use it, but I think it's a great addition to my palette personally. And then also black, also you'll hear a lot of people say you should never use black, and they can spot when a watercolor artist used black like a mile away because it's so flat. But then there are artists that use black watercolor and do it wonderfully. And personally, I think a color like Lunar Black from Daniel Smith, other brands make similar colors. It's a great addition to a palette. It is black, but it is not flat, and in mixes, it's beautiful. If you use it in like with a lot of water, you'll get a lot of transparency, but still have the effect of that granulation of the pigment. And I really think it adds a lot. So I've learned to, you know, learn from my fellow artists and teachers that I admire, but also try everything and decide for myself. And I encourage you to do the same. So here we can see the mixture of that bright red with Lunar Black, and it just gives this really fun, deep kind of a burgundy color. So lots of fun things to play. I really try to think about contrast when I'm picking colors. So, you know, complementaries, those are very contrasting colors, and then go with white and go with black, mix bright colors with muted colors, mix transparent colors with granulating colors. All of these things will give you stronger effects with less of an effort. Because kind of the materials are doing the work for you. And yeah, this was just really, really fun. And I'll show you in the next video what I painted after painting this. And yeah, I was just really inspired by the colors, and I'm not sure I would have gotten to that place had it not been for this really, really fun challenge. So all in all, I'm really enjoying it. This is a good time to mention that my giveaway is still open. So please leave a comment on that video. I will leave a link below. The winner of the giveaway will get a spot in my new class, Intuitive Painting in Watercolor. It's a really fun class. If you've been painting with watercolors for a while and you kind of feel comfortable with the whole technical part, but you feel like something is still missing in your artwork or daily creative time, and you're attracted to this more intuitive, abstract way of painting, then you might be interested in the course. It's a really, really fun course, and I'm very excited to, you know, share all of that with you. So the course officially begins on July 12th, but if you enroll now, you'll get access to kind of an introduction and the supplies. And then the real painting starts next week, July 12th. So I'm super excited about that. Besides that, I think this is just a good opportunity to talk about all the stuff that's going on, since these videos are probably going to be daily. I don't think I'll upload during the weekends. Maybe for the weekends I'll do something else. And I also want to continue my color mixing series. It's been a lot of fun to make it, and you seem to enjoy it. So I definitely want to go on with that. Currently, because I just finished the, working on the new class, I always feel a little bit drained and, kind of my cup is a little bit emptier and I need to kind of fill it up again until it's overflowing. And so I have been learning all kinds of things. I have to say I'm learning illustration, learning to paint kind of pretty faces, and I just actually purchased a course on how to paint manga faces, not because I think I'll actually paint manga faces, but there are certain elements that attract me. If you're not familiar, manga is like a Japanese style of comic or animation. And there are a lot of elements that I like about that. I think when I was a child, we had on TV, I was a child in the 80s. And even though I believe my soul lives in the 70s because I was born 2 months before that decade ended. So 70s rock music is, where my soul is. Pink Floyd, Doors, that kind of thing, David Bowie. But anyway, I was a child of the 80s, and younger viewers, cover your ears. I'm just kidding. We had one channel on TV, and you never knew when things will be broadcast or just stopped being broadcast. And I remember one day I caught, I don't know, like an episode or two of this animated series that only later I realized it was that manga style, but I was mesmerized by this. I thought the images were so beautiful, and it was just like this fantasy, this girl or young woman with that crazy huge manga hair, and I don't know, it was just so beautiful. And they only showed a couple of episodes, and then I never saw it again. I have no idea how that series is called, but I was amazed. And for the longest time, I painted faces sitting next to my grandparents' living room table. So I'm just learning new things. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another one very soon. Bye.